Meet Dave of Delusions of Grandeur, actor, producer, and director of films like Tales of the Forgotten. He has come to assemble a team of freaks, geeks, and even worse, film nerds, to discuss films ranging from mainstream to downright crazy. There is Tammy car enthusiast and Dave's fiance, Dustin reptile expert and overall horror collector, Jake environmentalist and fine art film critic, and finally Brandon, a therapist with a love of film that can only be seen as insanity. Together under Dave's leadership, they are Inside Movies Galore. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Inside Movies Galore. I am one of your hosts, but today we are completing the last film that we're going to be doing for this month under the theme of Muppet March, and I do believe that who put this film forward, by the way?
That would be me.
Okay, so I'll be handing this over to our good friend Jake over here, who subjected us to this malarkey. But that's okay. We are all good. I guess I am going to probably become a Muppet instead of a Muppet this time around, but anyways. So, that being said, why don't you tell us what movie you brought to the table here for this last piece before we head out for the month for other adventures?
Maniacal laugh. Maniacal laugh. We're looking at the 2011 movie The Muppets, the Disney branded reboot of the Muppet franchise. IMDb describes it thusly: a Muppet fanatic with some help from his two human compatriots must regroup the Muppet gang to stop an avaricious oil mogul from taking down one of their precious lifelong treasures. Movie is directed by James Bobin, co-written by Jason Segel and Nicholas Stoller. I guess Jim Henson gets a credit as well, I guess, for characters. And let me just double check on that. Yeah, based on credit. We've got, this is apparently the first Muppet movie where one of the first where the humans in the movie get star billing. Jason Segel and Amy Adams play Gary and Mary. Our villain is Tex Richmond, played by Chris Cooper. And we have a CD executive by Rashida Jones. The Muppets themselves, Steve Whitmire, Eric Jacobson, Dave Goles, Bill Beretta, Dave Rudman, Matt Vogel, a couple others on various characters. And the new Muppet Walter, voiced by Peter Linz, as well as a veritable who's who of cameos that's very intriguing in some cases. And so that's kind of the basic setup. We will go ahead and go around the room here, and I guess we'll start with you, Dave. Is this your first time watching this particular movie, and what are your thoughts?
Okay. To be fair and honest, yes, it is my first time, but I guess I judged this movie long before I even saw it. Maybe because I was such a fan of the Muppets to begin with, and the way the trailers made it look and whatnot. I went at the time. I kind of just ignored this movie, and I've thought it looked like shit to begin with, and it was a money grab, and I just literally did not care one piece of shit about it at the time, you know. Fast forward to yesterday. Um, yesterday, Tammy actually ended up picking the movie up when we were at Half Price Books the other day, and we decided to sit down and watch it. And it's not the shit show I thought it was going to be.
High praise,
but it was still somewhat disappointing. Okay. I critically judged it before I saw it, so I apologize. But I still don't like the actor Jason Segel entirely that much. I don't know why. Maybe he's just a man in a suit, and wasn't entirely sure why they were focusing on the humans, and half the movie didn't even have like intermixed Muppets in with the humans. So, and then suddenly, oh my God, there were Muppets everywhere. You know, so I don't know what that part was going on, because I was expecting, you know, okay, you got a world of mixed Muppets. That's how the Muppets were. So what is this going to be? A male version of the Rockettes? You know, at least that's how I'm thinking when I'm watching this. I'm thinking, okay, so there's a fan of the Muppets who really likes the Muppets, but there's no other Muppets that they're showing around in the cast or anything. At least until like they get to you know, Kermit, you know. But that being said, I liked it better than I thought. They definitely paid tribute to the Muppets. I like the fact that Jack Black showed up. And that's about it for me. I mean, I'm not going to shit on it like I was going to.
Yay.
But did it fully sell me? Not entirely. But I like it better than I originally went into it, and it impressed me a little bit, but not a whole lot of. So that's where I sit on it.
All right. Well, how about you, Tammy? Was this your first time with this one, and what were your thoughts?
Yes, it was my first time, and I wasn't sure what to expect because I was listening to David. So I wasn't even sure what to expect. I wasn't even sure when I bought it if I should buy it. You know, but I was like, well, I got this of the Muppets. I might as well add it to my collection, you know? So I do agree that there was a lot of time, especially in the beginning, that you didn't have the Muppets, you know,
or at least something in a suit that resembled a Muppet.
Right. You had the Walter, but Walter's not at this point considered a Muppet, you know. He never was a part of the Muppets, as we all know.
And as far as we know, he was never part of the original Muppets to begin with. So
that's what I just said.
Yep.
So, other than that, I did find it entertaining. I mean, I thought it was great to see it, that to eventually see all of the Muppets that we all know, and some that we haven't seen actually in a while. I know we will eventually get to it, but I really liked all the music. So yeah, I actually enjoyed it. I had more fun with it than I thought I was going to originally. So, because I went into it with having mixed feelings about what's this going to be like, So.
All right. So, how about you, Brandon? Is this your first time with this one? And what are your thoughts?
No.
That's the best part, to be honest.
Actually, what's funny is that I kind of had the opposite, not entirely the opposite reaction that Dave had, because I don't hate the movie by any means. But I remember when I first saw the movie, I really liked it. The nostalgia value really hit me, and seeing the Muppets back in action, it just made me feel good all the way around. So I really loved the movie. The second time around I watched it, I guess I had the same reaction as how Dave had for The Great Muppet Caper. Maybe not quite the vitriol that he had for that movie, but at least to the point where I'm like, this is okay, but it feels a little bit less robust than the last two that we watched, and that's which is kind of sad in a lot of ways. It doesn't quite feel as soulless as some of the other Muppet projects I've seen since then. But I felt like, I guess that same reaction of where there was about a couple of songs, one song that I kind of was okay with, and then the other song that I really liked, and then the rest of them were kind of forgettable after that. As far as the original songs, I mean. And to me, it was an okay film. I feel like my memory of it was hyping it up, and it fell short of what I remember it as. Still a fun movie, very entertaining, and it left me hopeful for the future of the Muppets, which apparently was very poorly placed in that hope, with the Muppets Most Wanted kind of being a letdown, and then a bunch of other failed Muppet projects, one after the other after they tried that.
Yeah.
Though the Muppet ABC show I really liked, and I'm sad that they canceled that one. It's just so out of the newer Muppet stuff, this is by far the best. And that's all I've got to say about that.
All right. As for me, I've said before, as we've kind of introduced the other movies, I didn't have quite the background with the Muppets that I think you guys did. Like, I was familiar with them. But again, when it comes to the actual movies, I didn't see a lot of them growing up. So maybe I didn't have as much of a, this is how it should be done, and everything else is not going to work. But still, when they announced a brand new Muppet movie that actually had like a lot of buzz behind it, I was like, I gotta check this out. And I honestly don't remember if I saw it in theaters. I don't think I did, but I honestly don't remember. But I know I saw it not long after its release. I do know that. And I know that I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. There were certain parts of the movie that just cracked me up the first time I saw them, and I still get a chuckle at the minimum. The whole maniacal laugh. I just love that. And Chris Cooper is, there's one part we'll get to later that I could have done without. But otherwise, Chris Cooper is great in that role. And but that part, I just love that. I love the whole animals in anger management thing and whole in control. I always remember that. I thought that was hilarious to me. And then, of course, Traveling by Map. This is, Brandon was correct. This is the movie that was from. I love that. That was a fun little thing. So there are little bits and pieces that I do enjoy about this a lot. I do agree that the movie kind of doesn't put the focus on the Muppets until you're pretty well into it. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, although it might. I could see how people would see that as a bait and switch because it is called the Muppets, so it makes sense. But the way I see it, I don't see the movie as being even remotely soulless. I have not seen the projects that have come since, and I've heard things about Muppets Most Wanted. I need to see it eventually, but I've been told I need to set the bar pretty low on that one. But to me, the movie really is a love letter to the Muppets. Jason Segel is on record as being a mega fan. He apparently had to convince Disney to give him a chance to make this movie, and they did. They were a little wary about it, but they did. Apparently, Frank Oz was not on board with the script, and this is, I think, the first Muppet project he was not part of. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but it was. I feel like the movie comes from a place of love, and I feel like that's clear when you watch it. It didn't feel at all like a money grab to me. And the way the plot goes, it's about a super fan who gets to become part of this thing that had always been this huge thing for him, So there is a nice little, it's a very fan servicey film, but I feel like it stands better on its own merits than some of the other fan servicey films we've seen lately, like Star Wars, Force Awakens, things like that,
And keep in mind, when I say what I say, I look at the movie as still a solid 7 out of 10.
Right.
So I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying I guess watching it so close behind the other 2 Muppet movies that we've done so far, it's just there's a different feel of it. So I felt, I guess, not as hyped as I was the first time I saw it.
And I will actually kind of agree with you on that. I think the first couple times I saw this movie, I absolutely loved it. And this time around, I was like, you know what? The first movie might have actually been a better movie. And it definitely has a different feel in some ways from those last 2 we did. Although I will say I probably found it more entertaining than I found The Great Muppet Caper, if I'm being honest. I feel like this one probably still hits me more than that one does. And that extends to the songs. And again, we'll get to the music as we go. But I
agree with you. It is definitely better than The Great Muppet Caper.
Okay. Well, there we go. That's something.
And see, growing up, I only remembered basically the original Muppet movie is the one I remember growing up. Mm-hmm. I do think I did see the Muppet Keeper, but I don't think I saw any of the other ones until I was already an adult, and I never saw this one.
I need to watch the other 2. I don't really count the other ones like Muppet Wizard of Oz and all that stuff, but I need to see the other 2. But to me, this is at least lower than the first 2. But as I said last week, I have a lot of nostalgia for the Great Muppet Caper, and the jokes really do hit my sense of humor pretty hard,
Right.
which is why it goes. Whereas this one feels more of a, except for a couple of the jokes at the, especially the ones at the end with Jack Black and so on, those hit pretty good. But not every one of the jokes hit me quite as well as those. But yeah, I mean, I need to see the other two to double check.
Right.
Because of course, Together Again, which they reference in this one, is from Muppets Take Manhattan,
Mm-hmm.
which we would have done if we did the original trilogy. We'll have to come back for that one in Muppets in Space. And Muppets in Space they even referenced, but I have not seen Muppets in Space in so long I couldn't tell you. But so I couldn't tell you why I would consider it in reference to those two, but I do like the first two better than this one.
And I can't swear to it that I've seen either of those movies. I feel like I might have seen Muppets Take Manhattan at one point, but I can't swear to it. So there are more I need to see, and if we revisit this later, I'll be fine with that. But what else was? And Brandon, I'm going to wager. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'll bet you very much appreciated the fact that they kidnap and tie up Jack Black and force him to host their program.
I don't have that's another change for me. I don't have quite the vitriol for Jack Black that I used to have. But really and truly, I got to finally see him as more than just somebody who's trying to copy Chris Farley and move on. Where that's all I saw when I originally heard of Jack Black. So
yeah.
I give him that. He's got and the fact that everything I've seen about him from his real life persona is that he's a really nice guy in real life, and that's a plus bonus.
Right.
I've got to meet him in order to double check that, but everything indicates he's a nice guy.
Right. Which I mean, in here, you know, once they kidnap him, obviously he's pissed off, but he's introduced as Animal sponsor in the anger management program. You know, it's of which we'll get to again. We'll get to some of the various cameos and such as we go, but. So I guess we'll launch into it. So basically, at the beginning of the movie, we're basically introduced to our main trio. You've got Gary and Mary, who are very, very dear. Well, actually, before that, we get Gary and Walter growing up. Like we start kind of go through their childhood into adulthood. Where you see they keep doing these scenes of them doing the height measurements as they go. And I'll admit, they're literally from small town. I believe that is the name of the town they're from. They're literally from small town USA. And the idea, I guess there aren't going to be necessarily Muppets in every town. They never really explain where Walter came from and how he came to be part of this family. It's just him and Gary are bros, you know. They grew up together. They are peas in a pod. They are best friends, you know. I wonder if there was a Great Muppet Caper reference in the idea that Walter said that they could be twins, you know. So maybe that was a little bit of a reference there. I don't know.
They do kind of look alike if you look at them, you know, side by side.
At least when they were younger.
When they're wearing the matching suits.
Right. And of course
they just needed to wear the hats. The hats would do the job.
And of course, they grow up, but Walter never really grows up exactly. But Gary grows up into Jason Segel. And I will give a partial agreement with Dave. I am not a huge fan of Jason Segel. He seems like a cool dude, and usually the roles he takes are in his wheelhouse. I've very rarely seen him miscast. He doesn't usually impress me as the greatest actor on any given project. And here, his girlfriend is played by Amy Adams, who is one of the best actors in any given project. She is phenomenal. And I think that she gets to show off all her chops here. She sings, she dances, you know, she does all this stuff. which Disney knew she could do because she starred in Enchanted, which we need to hit that one of these days. That was a good movie. But
I love that movie with her, and that was one of the things. When I watched this, I was originally thinking, "Oh, that's the one from Enchanted," because I was thinking about that when I was watching.
Right. So, and Disney may have been banking on that. That might have been one of the reasons that they did cast her. But then, so we got that basic intro, like I said, Walter and Gary growing up. Then we find out that, Gary found someone, but and I gotta say, Mary is remarkably tolerant of Gary's, like, him and his bro are so tight that it's hard for anyone to wedge their way into that. It's like, but I love how they introduce her. She's got a car in her classroom, and a kid, what was it like? It was an elementary school class. I don't know exactly what grade they were supposed to be, but it's like this kid's fixing the car. Just like,
I've never seen kids so excited about school and so sad about going on vacation.
I know. She's like, we're leaving. It's spring break next week. Oh, but don't worry, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Yay! Now, I'll admit, if she was my teacher, I probably would have been excited too. I don't know, but it's. But and I'm sure Tammy, a class where you got to work on cars in the classroom, that might have been your thing too.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
You must have assembled the whole thing in the classroom, then did welding to put the body together.
Right, but so anyway, what are y'all's initial thought? Well, I guess, and that does lead up to the first big musical number, which is a big musical number with dancing and choreography and all the bells and whistles, and that one is Life's a Happy Song. The original songs in this one, incidentally, are written by Brett McKenzie. There are some non-Muppet songs scattered throughout the soundtrack. Some of them are used specifically the way they were, and a couple of them have interesting formations, you might say. But Life's a Happy Song is the first big original, and like I said, it's a big dance number. Kind of led by Gary and Walter, and then the whole townspeople. And then when it's over, they all leave town, and everyone kind of falls down exhausted, like, oh, they're gone. It's pretty fun. But what y'all's thoughts about the opening portion, introduction to everybody?
Yeah, it was. Like I said, I was somewhat disappointed because I didn't see a mix-up of the Muppets, and that to me was kind of a turn-off. So that's how I feel.
It reminded me of the start of The Great Muppet Caper, but I liked the start of that one a little bit better because of the Muppet involvement in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have to agree. That it was kind of, not seeing much of the Muppets at the very beginning. Just people, was kind of, like almost like a setback. I mean, yeah, some of the things that were going on, like the classroom thing, was fun, and all that. That was, it was funny and everything. And then watching, the Walter, the whole grow up thing, that was kind of cute too, but it did take a while before you actually were watching the Muppets as we knew them,
Well, of course, a big part of that intro scene that I don't think I really mentioned, but anyway, a big part of that was his discovering the Muppets on TV and becoming just the fan he became. So we do see snippets of the old show and everything, like You see Muppets scattered throughout, but yeah, they're not really like in his life at that point. Yeah, at least not in physically. But well, what do y'all think about that big musical number? Like personally, I think it's a really catchy and fun song, and it impressed me more than the big number in this movie. But yeah.
I thought it was cool. I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, I guess I wish I would have seen some more Muppets in it. But I mean, the tune was catchy. Yeah, the whole big dance number, and then like you said, the thing at the end was funny, and when they all went and but it was enjoyable. Yes.
All right.
And just to say, I did like the intro before the musical number. I'm not saying I don't like the musical number that much, but I didn't feel like it was like great. But as far as like the intro, I did like the idea of him really liking the Muppets first off. I thought that was actually really interesting, his obsession over them and so on.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was cute that he got a Kermit watch and that he dressed up like Kermit at Halloween and all that stuff, you know.
Right.
And maybe this might be a spoiler alert for later, but apparently they were using what's his name from Big Bang Theory as the human version of our so-called fan of the Muppets, Walter.
Yeah, Jim Parsons is one of the many celebrity cameos in this particular one. And he, that was one that we won't see until rather later, but we do. Yeah. I'm trying to remember if there were any cameos in that opening scene. Does anyone else remember if there were?
I don't think there were any really in that opening scene.
Yeah. It's okay.
Except for Amy Adams and Jason Segel.
Okay, so Leslie Feist is considered one of the cameos. I'm trying to remember what I know. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so she's been in a few things, but she was one of the small town residents. I'm trying to think what I know her from. Well, she's a musician, I guess. Yeah, she's a musician. Okay. But she's one of the I guess one of the singing residents in that sequence. So and Mickey Rooney actually had a cameo in that scene. So one of the old school people that shows up. I thought he probably was. But then, of course, so basically, it's the 10-year anniversary, I believe, for Gary and Mary. And they're going out to L.A., and they surprise Walter with, and you're coming with us. What's up?
More like Jason Segel's character surprises Walter with it. I'm pretty sure that Mary was not really much in on the decision.
That was not her choice. I have no doubt. Yeah. Like Walter's really excited. You get to go to the Muppet Theater. Send me something. He's like, no, man, I can't do that because you're coming with us. So yeah, they all hop a bus to LA and they get out there and they go by. They go to the Muppet Studios and it looks pretty run down, pretty seedy. The tour guide comes out. He's played by Alan Arkin, and Arkin plays him as let's just muddle through another day, like it's obvious he doesn't get a lot of people out there and he's just bored to tears with his job. It's like
I did like that. It's like, is this the line for Universal Studios tour? Yes, it is.
So yeah, and while he shows like Kermit's office, and he's like, "This would be the Well, Walter lights up like a light. This would be the highlight of the tour if you saw it." And then he kind of moves him on to the next. But of course, Walter wanders on in, and while he's in there, some other Statler and Waldorf come in ahead of a seedy-looking businessman who's played Chris Cooper, and two other Muppets. What were the Deadly and what's the bear's name? I don't remember his name.
I don't either.
Uncle Deadly and who is this weird looking little thing that I don't know how you would describe it. And the bear, not Fozzie, obviously, a very different bear. So they come in and Statler and Waldorf cue the others into a particular loophole, I guess you could say, in the contract that Kermit signed all those years ago, that standard rich and famous contract. And basically, Rich Man has made some moves to acquire the Muppet property. And if the Muppets don't raise, is it 10 million? I believe it is $10 million.
Bobo the Bear.
Was that?
I believe his name is Bobo the Bear.
Bobo? Okay. I could go with that. But they basically have till midnight on a certain night to raise, I believe it's $10 million, or else they lose the studio. And Tex Richman wants to, take it over and drill for oil. I believe he mentioned that part of the plan now, right? That was something Walter overheard.
Yeah, when he overheard that there was, because originally when Statler and Waldorf were doing it, he was talking about, yes, I'm going to reopen this as a Muppet museum. Then when he leaves, he's like, yeah, there's oil under here. I'm sorry, if there was oil under a building in the middle of Los Angeles, I guarantee you they would not be allowing people to drill there.
Right. Well, I'm sure logic has always been a flexible idea in the Muppet movies.
Yeah. I do feel like the logic for this does fit in. It's just it's odd because it's an odd feel. So the odd logic fits, but it doesn't fit at the same time.
Right. Now it is extremely appropriate and on the nose that the oil baron is named Tex Richman.
Which might be a somewhat nod to Tex Avery.
It could well be, yeah. And I do love this is the part where we first hear him go, maniacal laugh, maniacal laugh, maniacal laugh. And Deadly and Bobo are actually laughing. It's like apparently there was a plot point that was largely cut out of the film. It's kind of hinted at, but apparently there was a plot point in the original script where the reason he hates the Muppets so much is because he can't laugh. And when everyone else was watching the Muppets around him and laughing, and he wasn't, they started making fun of him for not laughing. And that kind of scarred him for life. Like that.
That would make the ending make a lot more sense.
Right.
Because he was able to laugh at the end, which...
Right.
That would actually have made it make a lot more sense at the end.
Right. Like I said, it's kind of, I guess, hinted a little bit, but it doesn't really. And maybe they figured it would work better for the flow of the movie if they cut that out, or like if they had done a flashback scene then Dave would have had more scenes without Muppets, or at least only on television, So I guess for the flow of the movie, but for internal logic and consistency, it might have been good. But anyway, so Walter is very upset about this. In fact, he kind of starts screaming and doesn't stop for a long time.
That was annoying.
Yeah.
Yes, that scream was really annoying. It was like somebody put some duct tape on him or something.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's finally able to pass along, hey, this is what's going on. And of course, Gary is right, on the same page. Hey, man, we need to, and they get the idea to look to try and get them together, to try and find them. And of course, they start looking for Kermit, and they're just about to give up when finally Mary's like, what about here? And there's like a gate right in front of them where they've got, Kermit and Miss Piggy's faces on the gate. And so they go up and, Walter gets a run-in with an electric fence.
Yeah, I know. She's trying to tell him it's an electric fence. It's an electric fence. And he someone throws him like right into it. It's like,
Finally, we get Kermit after that.
Yes, and of course you get the you got to have the weird little sight gags or whatever. Like you see them illuminated in the back from this white glowing light, and you hear like angelic choirs, and then a bus goes by and it's a church choir singing. It's like kind of a fun little sight gag there. And of course, Kermit being Kermit, he's just like real, hey, what's going on? What, and they let, he invites them in and they tell him what's going on. And, he's a little downhearted because they haven't been together for a long time. The Muppets have gone their separate ways, and he's kind of not sure he'll be able to, get them back together. And then this is where he gets a song called Pictures in My Head, where, he get, I believe, some of the others come in. He passes by pictures. There's a picture of Fozzie and one of Gonzo, Swedish Chef, and one of Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. And
that's actually a song that I actually liked.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I liked that one. I think out of the ones there, this is one of the two that I liked.
Yeah, I like that one too.
It's actually one of the ones not written by Brett McKenzie. He produced it, but this one's written by Jeannie Lurie, Eris Acontis, and Shen Neiman.
I like the visuals. I guess the visuals paired well with that and nostalgia at the same time, so it kind of really did a good job of doing all of it. I don't know if the song would have worked as well on its own, but definitely paired with the visuals, it hit very good nostalgic wise.
Oh yeah, and I mean that's appropriate because in a way it's Kermit having nostalgia. Like he is just kind of, it's a very melancholic song because he's thinking about the past, and it ends with him kind of looking at a covered picture of Miss Piggy. She doesn't actually participate in the song the way the others do, but like it just kind of ends with him looking at her and, then going back.
Briefly. He actually keeps it covered even. He just peeks under.
Right, exactly. Because it's, a little too painful for him. But they do manage to kind of, they manage to let him know, hey, this is what's at stake, and that Walter really is a big fan and really he'd give, almost anything to see them back together and what have you. And it manages to inspire Kermit. He manages to kind of pick his head up a little bit and go, oh, yeah, sure, let's go for it. And he's got this cheesy, stupid 80s robot thing that for whatever reason they decide the robot's going to drive the car. As you do.
Have some tab, new Coke.
Yeah.
I didn't mind new Coke. I actually was one of the few people who actually did not mind new Coke.
I honestly can't swear to it whether I've tried it or not. I really can't.
My mom loved Tab, so it was funny to see Tab.
Oh God, Tab. Ugh.
I feel like I probably have, and I remember being unimpressed. But yeah. So we've got the robot tells them that they need to go to Reno. I don't remember exactly how it figured that out, but it did. So they go to Reno and they find Fozzie headlining a group called the Muppets, which are not even dime store knockoff Muppets. They're like back alley knockoff Muppets. Very shady individuals. And the animal is played by a human, Dave Grohl, with very kind of a fun little cameo there. All the others are actual Muppets, but they're, there's like a Miss Piggy knockoff and I'm not even sure what a couple of them were.
Let's see, there's a Janice knockoff that does a good job until that she takes off of her wig.
There's a Rolf knockoff.
Oh, right. There's a Rolf knockoff. And there was one that almost looked like a Kermit and Gonzo smushed together. I'm not really sure what they were going for there. And then, of course, after Fozzie leaves, they replace him with a Fozzie knockoff. Who's definitely much darker.
Definitely more street punk.
Yeah. I mean, this is like I said, these are like street Muppets and not Sesame Street, the other one.
Unless you mean that picture that they meme about with them with the like the evil eyebrows and such.
But so anyway, Fozzie at first puts up a good show, but it becomes very quickly apparent that he is not happy where he is. And it doesn't take much convincing for him to join them in trying to get, everything back. And then I believe from there they go after Gonzo next, yes?
Which is a cool callback to the original movie.
Right, because he had what was the name of his company? I don't remember the name of his company, but he is now a plumbing magnate. He's like filthy rich. He's got this huge company.
I think it's just called Gonzo's Plumbing.
No, it was something a little. It was like a pun. It was a music pun, but I can't remember it. But they and he's got Camilla, I guess, as his personal assistant / secretary or something along those lines. And they come in and they try to appeal. Oh, well, he says he's
Royal Flush. The Royal Flush.
The Royal Flush, yes. The Great Gonzo's Royal Flush, I think was what it was. Yeah. So they come in and he's like super busy. He's like, I'm going to give you, was it 30 seconds? And Kermit is stammering over trying to say what he needs to say. And Fozzie keeps telling him like,
Evil Oil Baron. Evil Oil Baron.
Evil Oil Baron. And every time he does, it throws Kermit off and they end up running out the clock. And then finally, as Gonzo's going past, Kermit finally comes out and tells him, "Hey, this is what's going on. Will you please?" And Gonzo's like, "No, I can't do it. I'm too busy. Whatever." Gives them the brush off. But then a little bit after that, they're getting ready to leave, all dejected, and Camilla kind of like gives him like a little kind of inquisitive, and then he's like, okay, he goes up to the roof of the building and calls him out, and he like rips off his clothes, and he's got the great Gonzo outfit underneath. He's ready for action and throws himself off the building, as you do. And then as they're running away, he pushes a button. I think it said like, what was it? Automatic plumbing empire destruction or something.
It was self-destruct, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
I find it funny he had a self-destruct button for his plumbing, but that is a Gonzo thing to do.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is. And he pushes the button while they're still leaving the building, which also a Gonzo thing to do. They have to run very, or move quickly at least. So of course they got them back together. And I think then was when they went to and found Animal at the anger management group. And Kristen Shaw has a cameo as the one running the group, which I found kind of amusing. It's and Jack Black, like I said, is there as Animal's sponsor. And this is where you got Animal in control. And apparently his trigger word is drums. And apparently they are told that you can't say that around him, And he does end up going with, kind of losing control and going with them. Of course, Jack Black kind of loses it too. I think he said that was also his trigger word. But like, and then they were like, this is taking too long. Let's do a montage, and then they go around using various tricks to, and it wasn't this where they played Back in Black? I think they just played something on the soundtrack. I think this was where they played Back in Black. And they were just doing, like I said, a montage, going around finding everyone and bringing them in. And, managed to get a lot of them. And you get a little bit of a feel for what the various Muppets have been doing. I guess Scooter's working for Google. Trying to remember where some of the others were, but anyway, they're does anyone else remember? I'm just drawing a blank on some of these.
Rolf was mad that he was left out of the montage.
They find him asleep in a hammock. Hey, Rolf, you want to come with us? We're getting the gang back there. Oh, sure. Yeah, it was a great story. But I'm trying to, but anyway, so the point is they find, like, I know we find the montage, there's like, I think that they show Beaker and Honeydew being picked up. I know they show Dr. Teeth and the other members of the band besides Animal being picked up. I feel like they show Swedish Chef being picked up in that segment. Just like I said, I can't remember exactly what all of them were doing, but anyway, so they come back, they go out west, and and we also do get a callback to the first movie where they go by Mad Mooney and Sons auto dealership, and Sweetums comes running after them. Hey, wait for me, guys.
Well, he does get to participate in this one.
Yes, he does. But I think he does say something like, "No, don't leave me alone again," or something like that, like kind of like a not again sort of thing. So yes, this is appropriate. Never mind. I was distracted briefly by a meme. Anyway, sorry, distracted.
Okay, so whereabouts are we?
We're about to. They've largely gotten the band together. I believe though, before they go out west, they all Kermit's like, "Okay, we're ready," and we're all like, "No, we need to get Miss Piggy," and he's like, "No, we're ready." It's like, and then they find out that she's apparently in Paris, and then I think it was Walter that said, "Oh, well, we should just go ahead and drive there," and someone, I think it was someone said, "You can't drive to Paris." And then I think it was Fozzie, wasn't it, that spoke up and said, "We'll travel by map." Then you have the whole Indiana Jones thing of the line going from one city to the other and then to the other, and they cross the ocean by map. And then you see the car coming out onto the beach in France. It's like, I don't know. I always found that really amusing. It's pretty fun. And then they go to this, I guess, fashion firm where we get our next celebrity cameo, Emily Blunt, essentially reprising her role from The Devil Wears Prada. Basically, was what she's doing. Only she's secretary, I guess, to Miss Piggy in this version. And she, they go in, and of course, Miss Piggy is so happy to see Kermie, but she has her own life now. She's doing her own thing. And she kind of says, I can't. I'm doing, I've got my own life, and they basically go home empty-handed and end up hiring the other.
Well, there was a little more to it than that. I mean,
there is.
It kind of hinted. I feel like there should be a director's cut that has a little bit more to it than what they have, because a lot of it hints to the fact that she was looking for Kermit to tell her that he needed her.
Yes.
And it hints at the fact that Kermit kind of abandoned the idea of their marriage together, but also looked like Miss Piggy was wanting something way over the top that he was not ready to deal with. And you can see where she keeps half of the picture of their marriage in her drawer when they leave. But that's the reason why she didn't decide to go, is because she wanted him to say it, and he couldn't say it, that he himself wanted her there.
Well, she essentially told him that. But yeah, you're right. That's and we haven't really gotten to yet. There's a musical number that comes around later where it's more explicit. But there's a lot of parallel between Piggy and Kermit and Mary and Gary. Like, Piggy wants more, but Kermit has always been about the gang. Like, he's really invested in all of them, and she's more interested in him than anything. But yeah, the fact that he didn't come and say, "I need you," he came and said, "We need you," that did kind of annoy her a lot. But it wasn't enough to keep her out of it completely, because she also cared about the group. So, that's and we'll get to that in a little bit. But
and about not being shown up.
Well, yeah, that too. Definitely. She didn't want someone to replace her, especially a back alley knockoff. But anyway, so we have the they go home, a little empty-handed. And I believe before they start on the studio, and before they start on the theater fixing it up, I do believe that they go to the to shop around the idea of the special, right?
Yeah. Kermit is evidently stuck inside the office making phone calls to a lot of the.
Well, no, not yet. Because first they had to get someone to say, hey,
And-
we will let you do this. And so they get a few people just straight up no. Just they're pretty much laughed out of the room by a couple people. And then they meet the head of CDE, I think it was CDE Studios, which is basically a knockoff of ABC for all intents and purposes. And they have she is played by Rashida Jones, and Rashida Jones. Oh, well, Natalie, I believe her name was. Natalie, I'm going to make sure I got the name right. No, it just says CD executive on. That's annoying. I think it was Natalie. Wait, Rashida Jones' character, the executive. She's like, oh, I remember you guys, and it was so great, But here's where it really is. And she has this chart that's like a target with all these people kind of around the target. And she's like, this is a chart of things people are interested in nowadays. And she like flips the chart out way, way out. And there's a picture of them way, way out. And she's like, and this is where you guys are. And it's like, wow, way to crush a dream,
I mean, it's very reminiscent of the Muppets Take Manhattan, where they're trying to market their show all throughout, and not a single person will take them.
Right.
Though I will say, as far as this one is concerned, who could have thought that teachers would have a problem with a show called Punch Teacher?
I don't get it. I really don't.
Especially when they're telling the students to do it.
Really, that's the top-rated show right now, and she tells them, she's like, "That's a top-rated show." And there's also parallel. I mentioned earlier we did that stream earlier where we were doing our pickups, and I was saying it was kind of funny. There are a lot of similarities with Bowfinger and this one, which is kind of weird because Bowfinger was a Frank Oz film. And I don't know, maybe he did feel like he would be treading familiar ground and he didn't want to do that. Maybe that was his problem. But basically, she tells them basically the same thing that an executive played by Robert Downey Jr. told Bobby Bowfinger in that movie, which is, if you can get a star. In that one, he had a specific star in mind. But in this one, she's like, get a celebrity to host and you've got a show. But not right away. First, Punch Teacher was canceled because of pending litigation, if I'm remembering correctly.
Like I said, they were like teachers who were upset with it. So
yes.
Yeah.
In fact, it sounded like they were going to get some lawsuits.
Yes. So suddenly there was a big opening in the schedule a few days away, and she was like, okay, guys, if you can get a celebrity, you can do your show. So yes, then Kermit kind of gets his Rolodex, and he's calling all the hot celebrities of the day, like President Carter, all the people that, his Rolodex clearly needed to be updated. Let's put it that way. And meanwhile, everyone else sets about getting the studio together. Mary, Gary, and Walter are pitching in. I think they start watching Scooter pushing the broom around, and they're like, "This is so boring. What?" And then I think it's Walter, doesn't it? Don't you guys always do this to music? And then like Dr. Teeth pushes the button on his boombox, and then you hear, "We built this city."
This city.
Yep.
which I had forgotten Bernie Taupin co-wrote that song. I don't know how. Anyway, so yeah, they start. Yeah, they do a musical montage where everyone's really getting it all, caught up, and they do a remarkable job dressing that thing up. Apparently, they missed the hole in the ceiling, but otherwise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, Fozzie talks about it. I hope the weather holds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but the stars are pretty,
Now, I will say that this whole thing, they do some foreshadowing about this stuff because we're about to talk a little bit more about Amy Adams.
Yeah.
Their plot line is one of the things that she makes sure that he knows at the beginning is that, okay, everything is going to be okay, but so long as we have our romantic dinner together for our anniversary.
Yes.
And her song, which we kind of moved over at the beginning, focuses on her interest in basically having him to herself and getting the ring.
Right. Well, we're just about to get to her, which is really hers and Miss Piggy's song.
Yeah, because it falls around the time where, I mean, I'm talking about her song at the beginning of the movie. Where she's singing about what she wants and imagining set with him.
She has,
him on the white horse and presenting the ring and asking her to marry him. And it's raining outside, but it's not really raining because somebody's like got a garden hose.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's. I guess it's a very forgettable song.
Well, my understanding, and I could be interpreting this wrong, but I understood it as basically being sort of an aside to "Life's a Happy Song," like it's sort of her verse tucked within the bigger song. But yeah, you're right. It's it's definitely a little bit of a foreshadowing of what is kind of coming.
Because it's during this time that we see her more interested in saying like, well, what about all the tourism that we were supposed to do? And he's like, well, you go ahead. I've got to help them repair this movie theater.
Right.
Sending her off on her own. And that's the reason why I'm saying that it starts that angle that leads up to her actual song with
right
later in the film.
Which is kind of on her tourism thing. You see her walking around with all the shopping bags and everything. And then she goes into a restaurant where we get a Sarah Silverman cameo as the less than thoroughly friendly hostess. And she goes in and she starts, just singing to herself in the restaurant as you do.
Man, if Leslie Nielsen hadn't died a year earlier than this, he could have been the waitress like he was in Stan Helsing.
Yes. But you've got it's called Me Party, and she's doing this little song about how great it is to not have to be with someone and all this stuff, although you clearly can tell that that's not really what she wants. And after she launches well into the song, then Piggy comes in and gets a couple verses in. And honestly, this is the first song, like I've said before, and of course, this isn't just Miss Piggy. This is really Mary's song as much, if not more so. But it's kind of Miss Piggy's song, too. And it's the first Miss Piggy song that I really liked. I actually thought it was a pretty solid song. Me personally, I don't know what y'all's take on it was. But it's a neat little sequence,
It was interesting.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty cute.
Right. And then unfortunately we get to the song, if you will, that we could do without. which is
where he goes to the oil barrel.
with Tex Richmond, and I want to say this is where he is this. Oh, you're right. Kermit comes in to. Someone says, "Why don't you just ask him?" Yeah, that's what it was. Someone said,
Because
"Why
they're
don't?"
having trouble getting a star. Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you just ask him if he'll? Yeah, and this is where, yeah, Chris Cooper does a fine job with what he is tasked to do, but I will admit I tend to cringe whenever old white dudes try to rap in movies.
The only thing
Yeah,
is
and
it was
this
meant to
rap
be
was
that way.
cringe.
I think it was meant to be cringy on purpose, but it's still
Right.
Feel right. It's just like
It still wasn't done right at all.
Just
Yeah.
move it on, move it on.
It could have been worse, but we could have done without. And
It was no be prepared as far as villain songs.
no, it was
It's like they didn't have a budget for it.
yeah. Well, I don't know if I guess maybe they thought there should be a villain song, but I guess they figured well, I don't know if Chris Cooper really can sing. I haven't really heard him sing that I can remember. What's that?
Well, I can tell you my thoughts on the song.
Yeah.
It stinks.
Indeed. The other thing I was going to say, and this to me, and maybe I'm projecting that I want this to be a reason other than, but maybe the positive spin on it is that maybe they figure a character who can't laugh also likely can't sing.
Yeah.
Maybe,
I think they made it cringe on purpose. I really do.
Nor plus it might have been easy to be a villain for the Muppets, since the Muppets are supposed to be able to make people laugh.
Right.
Like I say, I think it was meant to be cringy on purpose. It just came out to be too cringy. He did too good a job making it.
Maniacal laugh. Maniacal laugh. Maniacal laugh. Maniacal laugh.
Yeah. So that clip stopped right before Walter started screaming.
Well, I wouldn't have played it then. Just as I wouldn't play it if I had a clip of the guy rapping. I don't even know I would have that clip.
Well, didn't you have the clip of the party dog rap from?
I do have that, and I do have the clip of the Dunkachino thing.
Oh God, that was cringe too. But that was a movie was so cringe that was the saving grace of a cringe.
I was gonna say that was the most entertaining part of that entire film.
Oh man. But anyway, but yes, the fact that he was the villain and you were supposed to cringe at him anyway. But anyway, that's enough on that. So they strike out there. They're like, yeah, this is, and wasn't it when they left, didn't the Muppets come in after that? And because I feel like
well, what happened is when he was talking about that with Kermit is when he also said it's not just that. It's not just your studios at stake. It's the name of the Muppets in general.
Yes.
And that's when the Muppets come in with their and we're going to be the ones taking that name over.
Right.
And it's like, yes, the world needs a new Muppets, a new, more modern take on the Muppets for the cynical world.
So I'm remembering correctly then that Miss Piggy has returned and they gave the pig the boot already.
Yeah, they gave that not long after they finished the montage for Repaired.
And this was where we were introduced to the knockoff Fozzie, I believe. Yeah. And that's...
It probably would have been better off rapping than Chris Cooper in that one.
Yeah. But anyway...
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got the next part, I believe, is the big blow up between Gary and Mary, if I remember correctly, right?
Mhm.
The where she's upset with him, and he just is not getting it.
Oh yeah.
She
The
pretty much,
moment that she's like, "Where do you want to eat?" And he's like, I don't know. What do you want?
or like I think she says, "What have you decided for dinner?" or something like that. Like, and it doesn't even realize it, and she knows, like because the show happens to be that night, and he is so focused on the show that he has totally forgotten dinner. And of
Well,
course,
he's
not happy about that.
totally forgotten the reason why they came to begin with.
Exactly, yes. And she is not happy about that. And so she ends up leaving a note that, oh, I've just gone home, you know. And I believe this is the kind of the, and meanwhile, Walter's really disappointed and upset that he hasn't been able to really, he feels like he hasn't really been able to help, even
They
though
want him to be on the show, and he doesn't have a talent, at least as far as he can think of.
well, also he feels like Kermit is telling him, "Oh man, I would not have done this if it weren't for you. You have been more helpful than you know." But like Walter just feels like, but the show's not happening, and he just feels, you know. So we have a couple. I'm trying to remember if the Man or Muppet is before the group decides to kidnap a celebrity or after, or if they happen kind of this. I don't think they happen at the same time.
No, it's either just before or just after, and I don't remember. And
It's
it doesn't really
just
matter at that
before.
point.
It's initially just before they have to go on.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd say it would be just as good to say the Man or Muppet song, because once the two bros have their dialogue with one of them deciding, you know, they're both having to make that decision.
That "Am I a Man? Am I a Muppet?" Song was awkward.
Well, it was apparently very well liked. It actually won won the Oscar. Personally, I didn't think it was the strongest song in the movie, but it's good. But you have this is where Gary gets a Muppet version, which apparently Jason Segel got to keep it afterwards, and he's really happy about that. But as Dave alluded to earlier, Jim Parsons cameos as the human Walter, and there's this big musical number involving all four versions, like both versions of each character, but mostly Gary and Walter leading it.
Yeah.
And I think it's a nice little set piece, but again, I'm not sure that I would say it's the strongest of the songs, but
I would say it's probably my favorite as far as like original songs in the movie. But to me, it doesn't stand. I mean, it's not as strong as the strongest film in either the first or second Muppet movie that we've watched.
Oh yeah, no,
because Happiness Hotel, yeah, many of y'all did not like any of the other songs. You got to admit that one was a very strong song.
There wasn't any song in this
I think
movie.
Rainbow Connection is the strongest song of all.
I think there wasn't any song in this movie that quite hit the level of those two. I think there were a couple really good ones, but but also, so we have that, but we also have the Muppets decide. I don't think Kermit was party to this, but I think Miss Piggy and some of the others decided that if we can't get a celebrity the old-fashioned way, we'll just grab one. And so they go and kidnap Jack Black to be their host. Yeah. And then also Gary gets real upset with Walter, and he's starting to kind of let him have it. And then as he's talking, he realizes, wait a minute, that's what I did wrong. and so he goes home to, make things right with Mary. And they have a little conversation, but they quickly realize that, this just isn't going to, we need to get back there. So they travel by map to get back. Yeah, or at least that's what they say later on. I think Kermit said, "How'd y'all get here so fast?" It was.
When they
I like that travel by mat thing. That's kind of neat.
When they put the plan to cut off the electricity to the show, but it was. But they actually got to see the show doing well on its own, and I'm kind of glad. That they actually chose to let the Muppets plus their little addition stand. Well, really, it's just the Muppets at this point. Stand on their own to get their crowd and get that love again without having to rely on the newbies to save it all. That they didn't come in until after they were already showing success.
Well, so we should, so we got the show. And of course, when they introduced Jack Black, he's sitting on the stage strapped to a chair, and very unhappy. But when they first start, the only person in the audience is, I think it's Hobo Joe. What's his name? And Hobo Joe is played by Zach Galifianakis. And he's. But as you go along, and we missed earlier when they showed the clip from Punch Teacher, Ken Jeong had a cameo as the host of that show.
I thought that was him.
Yeah.
I do find what they did with the show when they were doing it, especially when they did the opening, I love that they were showing a different angle of them walking onto the stage at the original stage setup. And I thought that was really cool because it's an angle that many people who watch the Muppet Show never got to see it from.
Right.
And I thought that was a really cool, thing to do. But I also thought it was cool showing the parents, like seeing the Muppets on the TV and sharing that moment with their children.
And one of
that was also cool.
And one of the cameos that we get during that sequence is Bill Cobbs, who plays a grandfather who's sitting with his family. Very, very brief little cameo there. I should also mention a brief cameo earlier on that we forgot. Rashida Jones, when they're in her office, a gentleman opens the door and slams Kermit behind it by mistake. And that was Donald Glover. So, he had a brief little cameo there.
I love how Neil Patrick Harris actually says later on, and there's like, why wasn't I the host of this?
Yeah, well,
I
was getting ready to say the show is a telethon, so it's like a reprise of the Muppet Show, but it's like also a telethon where they are trying to raise money. And at first it's a handful of Muppets sitting around, kind of like, one of them even starts ordering pizza right away. And then, but then one of them takes a call and is like, "Oh, you want to give us money?"
They're like, "What should I do with it?" We'll take it.
Yeah, so they start the ball rolling with that slowly.
And wasn't it Whoopi Goldberg and Selena Gomez who?
Well, I was just about to say, slowly people start trickling in. We start seeing people watching at home. And that's when we see Selena Gomez, Whoopi Goldberg, and a kid from... Who was the kid? I can't remember offhand.
In the house or something? I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember right offhand.
It was a Disney kid. I know that.
Yeah. So basically, they show up, and Whoopi says something about, I don't remember
just
exactly.
Randomly called and to just show up.
But like Selena Gomez, like, I never even heard of you guys, but the agent said I need to be here. but basically, so they come in to start manning the lines. And then slowly the call center gets bigger and bigger. And I guess that's where Judd Hirsch and John Krasinski eventually show up. Am I remembering that correctly? I I know I think I saw John Krasinski there, but I don't remember seeing Judd Hirsch. But yeah, you're right. Neil Patrick Harris is on the line, and later on, at one point, he does make the comment of, "Why didn't they call me for this?" Like, it's like, well, I should be hosting this. Why am I not? No, why am I not hosting it? That's what he said. Yeah, why am I not hosting this?
And one of the things that I appreciated is when they took Jack Black onto the stage and they were doing that barber shop sequence. They were actually singing some of the parts to Nirvana's Teen Spirits.
Stop butchering that.
And
entertain us.
And who
I was stupid.
Who was it that was on there? I want to say Rolf was one of them, wasn't he? And wasn't it like
I think Sam the Eagle was another one.
Sam the Eagle. And there was one dude I didn't recognize.
We had Beaker because he shows up with like a hatchet and they took it away from
that was fun. It was like, and then they all get out their barber tools and he gets an hatchet.
As much as Jack Black has been a hit or miss for me, I'll admit some of the scenes with him and at this point were some of the funniest in the movie for me. I mean, whether the head bowling that Donzo started, that then he couldn't throw the ball, and then there was which foreshadowing for later, and then there was my favorite part, which is odd to say of Fozzie and funny, but Fozzie's stand-up comedian act with Jack Black, it just I don't know why it just cracked me the heck up.
Well, wasn't the older guys were laughing at that?
It's like. We're not a duo. We're not a duo.
Oh, that joke was like 20 years old.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's basically like he's sitting there being really, really angry and upset, but to the audience, it's almost like he's the straight man in this duo. It's you got to have the buffoon and the straight man, and that's kind of the old. Abbott and Costello, Laurel and Hardy, and all those kind of things. It's kind of fun how they had that set up. Supposedly, Courtney Love had words for their use of Nirvana, but apparently Dave Grohl actually loved it. And so it's like, so there were some mixed feelings about that. Personally, I thought it was pretty hilarious, but anyway, we got Grohl, and not just him, the other surviving member of Nirvana, and I am horrible that I'm forgetting that offhand. But
it's all right. I only know them for the one song, so I couldn't tell you.
I know a few of their songs. They had some good stuff, but I admit I'm more familiar with Grohl's later project. But so we have the show becomes a success, and they're making a lot of money. But obviously Tex ain't having it, and he tries to sabotage it by turning off the electricity. But this is where Mary and Gary have returned, and Mary fixes it because she knows wiring, apparently. It's like,
she's a teacher. They know everything.
Yes, exactly.
Well, and eventually Tex's uncle, whatever his name is. Uncle.
Dang it. I always forget it. It's a character I don't know super well, but it's the name you would think you would remember. Uncle David.
I do find it funny that when he's trying to basically destroy the phone tower up there, that it's the demonic looking Muppet that actually has the change of heart and is like, no, I shall not let you do that.
Right. Yeah.
And gives a real maniacal laugh.
Uncle Deadly.
That's how you laugh maniacally.
Uncle Deadly.
Yeah, Uncle Deadly. He makes a comment to the effect of like, I may look evil and have a British accent. Yeah, it was,
Still a Muppet. I do find that funny when he does that laugh. He's like, that's how you do a maniacal laugh.
right. But even so, they still don't quite get there. They end up $1 short when Rich Man takes the stage again to kind of not laugh, but like mock
he
them.
destroys the telephone pole, shutting it down.
Yeah,
And then he comes on stage like, yes, I won.
Yes. And then, of course, when they're $1 short, and then Fozzie hits his head, and then the decimal point moves, and they're much further away. And he's like, oh, well, now I don't feel so bad.
I don't feel so bad. We were nowhere near the
I'll admit I'd agree with him. If I was $1 away, I would have been. Yeah. But
yeah, he I wasn't quite certain what the when was at the end until, of course, we get the whole bowling ball thing. But I guess it's because everybody remembered the Muppets in the end, even though they lost.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. They pretty much said, Rich Man, he puts on this whole, oh, I won, and blah 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 blah, and and wait a minute. We skipped ahead a couple important set pieces there. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, we had Kermit and Piggy finally making up to do their song, and they do a duet version of the Rainbow Connection where all the Muppets come on stage to join them, and it's a really nice reprise of the song, I thought.
And they actually, the reason why they got back in is that when he finds that it looks like she is gone, he goes to his desk and he pulls out, he's got the other half of the picture.
Right. Yeah. Oh, Kermit, you kept it.
I like the remake of the song. I thought that was
good.
Really good.
Yeah.
That's a good song. It was a good bass song in the begin with. So.
Right. But I mean, it was a good way to kind of wrap it up and bring everyone back together. But then they end up short. Like they did this big set piece at the end, but they're not only a few dollars short, but they've got like a few minutes left on the program, and they're like, what do we do? And the whole time they've been asking, Kermit's been asking Walter, will you do something? They gave him a chance earlier, and he literally ran through the wall to get away from, he was scared. But then while they're kind of debating what to do, they hear whistling, and Walter has taken the stage and is just standing there whistling a song and doing a really good job of it. And, the whole time he's been like, what's my talent? I don't know what my talent is. How can I perform with these guys?
It's whistling.
Whistling, yeah, exactly. So he goes out there and he does, IMDb has it listed as the Whistling Caruso. But he goes out there and does it, and people love it, and it does again get them almost to the goal line. But then, like I said, Richmond comes in and gloats and derides them, and comes off like he really shows his ass on national television, but not that he cares.
I was gonna say he's just there for the oil.
Exactly. And they all they like, I think Kermit says something like, well, we'll just leave with our heads held high, and so they leave, and they're basically like, well, we'll just start over, we'll do something else. And then they they get out into the crowd outside, which is huge, massive crowd outside the building, and everyone's cheering and all this stuff, and they're like, what? And then I don't know exactly what leads to what at this point, but we do get the the part where Gonzo finally lets the bowling ball go and it hits Richman. It apparently does some brain damage to him, and now he can laugh and you know, they're and it all works out in the end, I guess.
Yep, decides to give them their names and the studio.
Yes.
Yay! Happy.
And then we have the finale version of Life's a Happy Song.
Yep.
With, where everyone's having a good old time. And then we go into the credits where they do a Mana sequence with lots of cameos jumping in and helping out.
It actually surprised me to know that such a popular sequence was actually in the very first episode of The Muppet Show.
Yeah.
That is because I rewatched that when they tried to do the reboot of The Muppet Show, that obviously must have failed because they haven't done anything else with it. It's actually kind of sad that every Muppet project after this one has failed. But at least this one was successful. But yeah, then I rewatched the very first episode of The Muppet Show and I was realizing, oh, wow, that's the first episode that has that sequence, which is pretty impressive. I mean, that's an iconic one. That hit like first off.
Yeah.
All right.
Mana.
So that's
Mana.
so that's pretty much the plot. That's pretty much the whole kit and caboodle as far as the story goes. Unless, did anyone have some stuff that we glossed over or skipped or whatever that y'all want to hit before we go into production?
No, I think we hit most of the beats or whatnot. It technically turned into kind of a road movie. It's just it took a while to get there.
Right.
And I do feel like there was missed opportunity to filter in maybe some newer Muppets in the very beginning with the dance numbers. But I thought the dance numbers were well executed. As if we're going into production values,
Right.
And I think for the most part, they definitely made the Muppet Studios look as decrepit as it could possibly look, especially when they first showed up, and when Scooter was first trying to mop it, the way they were doing it, it didn't seem like they were going to get it done in time and whatnot. And the only thing I don't think we mentioned was the fact that Walter said, "Hey, don't you remember we do it to music?"
Yeah.
So once they started singing, that's when the magic began.
Yeah. And they did have some little I'm sorry, I was just going through the quotes page, but the soundtrack, I mean the screenplay, of course, goes into production too. And they did give Statler and Waldorf a couple of good little one-liners. Like there's one part was like, if I didn't know any better, I'd say you were reciting some sort of important plot point. I hope so. Otherwise, I would have bored half the audience to death. You mean half the audience is still alive? I always dreamed we'd be back here. Dreams, those were nightmares. Yeah, that's some good ones. And then you got the one where they go to kidnap Jack Black and they send Animal up. Animal, what are you doing here? Acting natural. It's like I really was amused by how they used Animal in this one. Though, like I said, that in control thing, it just and of course I put a picture here of where they finally got him to go back to the drums, and he starts trying to eat one.
So,
and drums is like a trigger.
Yes.
Word.
I mean, to me, I look at it because, well, of course, he goes into drums with the Rainbow Connection song, which is great. That he, instead of having him go crazy, where it just totally throws the song off, he actually hits it correctly and moves the beat. So I guess he was in control, if you think about it.
Indeed.
But to me, the movie was good, but I feel like a lot of it was concentrated on Jason Segel, Amy Adams, and the new guy.
Yeah.
And I really don't feel like it was the Muppets movie at all. It was their movie, and the Muppets were kind of the side characters. And that really was the biggest weakness in the movie, in my opinion, because I don't feel like it was necessarily needed. You could have done a Muppet movie to where you could have had a fan come in and discover Kermit and the broken down Muppet thing and them trying to get it together again. And it could have given a little bit more time to have some more time spent with some of the Muppets, because a lot of them had almost zero time. And it was, and of course, a lot of the time it's more entertaining, in my opinion, to watch them than Jason Segel. I'm not gonna say that about Amy Adams. She was a gem, but I mean, shoot, they don't even in the newer Muppet stuff, they don't even acknowledge the new one that they created for this. I think the last time he was in anything was the second Muppet movie that they did with this one, which was Most Wanted.
Are we doing production?
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm going to say real quick on production, I like the practical effects, and I was saddened by every computer-generated effect, because I feel like it was a lazy way of doing it. Or at least I felt like it did not feel as genuine as the original movies, which did not have access to that and really worked it.
My understanding was that they did do like the percentage probably was primarily practical, but there were a few sequences where it was clear there was at least some computer.
You could tell in some that there was some obvious CGI used.
Yeah.
I mean, look, even looking at this picture, I mean, that Kermit has some CGI going on. And
the background picture there.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the very rounded, very overly smooth face.
Right.
But if you look at the new logo with the Muppet Studios logo, it's a CG Kermit. So
yeah,
it's just I don't know. It's just, for me, Jim Henson Studios, there is no place for over the top computer effects. Even though Jim Henson himself was okay with some computer effects, it just, to me, it was all about the practical effects.
I agree. I agree that the original Jim Henson production team and staff, they were all about the practical effects. They did they were almost against CGI. To be fair and honest, although they were starting to incorporate it at the tail end of when Jim Henson was last alive.
And all negative thoughts to the Great Muppet Caper aside, you got to admit that the practical effects were pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, no doubt. No, I mean, and this may be wrong, but I'm reading it on the internet, so it must be true. But they do say on IMDb that they used almost all old school techniques for the Muppets. So my thought is they probably use computer animation here and there, but either this information is wrong or, I don't know. The one part where I can remember, like, I feel like there was definitely at least some CG, might have been the fade in from the picture to the live action in that sequence Kermit did, where he's going by the pictures, Um,
And once the pictures were actually moving, it was live action.
right. But
Yeah,
I
when they
feel
were
like
doing the
Cave
Star
was,
Wars, it was definitely CG.
yeah. But anyway, and then of
But
course, you got Siegel's snappy suit that you see right there on the cover. Yeah. So the costume design was a big part of this. I think they did go with that. The and I guess, yeah, what else would be a big thing? I think someone already touched on the sets, and they did a fine job with those. Yeah, anything else on production that
well,
y'all?
I was gonna say that I I guess overall I thought it was pretty decent. It didn't seem I think I agree with Brandon. It didn't seem as old school Muppets like it usually did.
Mhm.
It just it had a too new feeling to it. I mean, I can't sit here and pinpoint all the spots and everything, but it just didn't have the same feel, the of the Muppets.
Right.
I would, yes, I understand the storyline and everything, and I do have to agree that I think they spent a little bit too much time on that and not enough on the Muppets. I mean, you were how far into the movie before you actually had all the Muppets in the movie,
Right.
So I don't think they had to spend that much time at the beginning to get to the point they were, to get to what they were trying to do, I think you could have brought the Muppets in a lot sooner, and you could have used them a lot more than they did. But it was nice to see them all,
Mhm.
and the remake of the song, the Rainbow Connection, I thought was really good.
Mhm.
And of course, that the whole big ending and stuff where they come out of the theater and all their fans are there. I thought that was a nice touch.
Right.
So, and I think they did a good job, like you guys said, with the studio looking as decrepit as it was.
Right.
Because it was supposed to have been abandoned for like 10 years or something.
Something
So
like
yeah,
that.
I think it looked like it had been, yeah.
Yeah. Now, in fairness, the as far as them not taking a while to get everyone together, the first movie, you've only got Kermit for a little while, and then you get Fozzie, and it takes them a while to build a crowd too.
One plus there that you have that's not in the other one is that the Muppets are clearly a part of the world in the other movies.
This is true.
Whereas here, it's not really. I mean, you had the Muppets, but that wasn't until later, and everything else was already in action.
You've got a few scattered about, but they're not as many. That's for sure.
So, I mean, that's really, I guess, the biggest thing for that first movie. And if they're aping some of the movies in the past, a lot of it comes from Muppets Take Manhattan, because there's a lot of similarities. Muppets going their own way, having to get them back together, having to market things, having to get stuff done and have a success. It's definitely very similar to that one. But in that one, you do have a lot of those zany characters along the way, which they eventually invite back to do the show at the end, because I was like, y'all are pretty cool. Let's have you guys back for the show too.
Another thought as far as
probably haven't watched for 15 years.
Another thought as far as the look, I am not I'm not a cinematographer, and I'm not super well versed in that whole thing. But my strong suspicion is that this they probably shot a digital film for this, and the old ones were probably on old school, like so the look of it probably did look sharper and cleaner and less old school just because of the film they used. That would be, or maybe I should say cameras, because it might have been all digital. But you know what I mean, like. But I don't know the full specs on that, so I'm just spitballing. But it definitely does look cleaner and more modern than the old ones do. I'll admit that. Definitely. So I guess we've touched on the music as we've gone along, because I mean, again, it's a musical, so these are important set pieces. And I think we've kind of given our impressions on the songs as we go.
Yeah.
But what's everyone's overall feel for the soundtrack? Like I said, this one does have a lot of found music, probably more so than the other movies did. There is that interesting reconfiguring of Nirvana for that one sequence. We've got a couple of repurposings of existing Muppet themes. Christoph Beck does some original music for the movie. What were y'all's overall thoughts on that?
I thought the soundtrack was really good. I liked it. I liked the songs that, of course, were not their songs, that were put in.
Right.
But I did like a lot of their own songs too for the movie. So
Right.
I really liked the soundtrack.
I think the soundtrack is definitely strong per se. There were a few original songs that I thought were okay and decent, but I do think that the music that was put in that wasn't their original was like awesome. Awesomely played where it needed, like when they did the Wee Jefferson Starship came on, that was a cool moment, and things of that nature. But and I liked the pictures on the wall song specifically. That was my favorite song. Although the reimagination of the Rainbow Connection was pretty great. So,
Okay.
I mean, as far as original music, nothing was bad, but nothing stood out for me.
Well, the rap song wasn't that great.
Well, it stood out, but that one stood out also, but it wasn't necessarily. I kind of forgot about it, and I will forget about it again. I don't need to remember it. But as far as things go with it, it relied a lot more on found music than the other movies had, and I mean, that's fine. I mean, it kind of reflects modern times that way. A lot of it going into the current time period, but at the same time, I mean, if I was to compare them, I would put higher music on the other movies. Maybe not Muppets from Space, but I don't remember that soundtrack at all. As far as like overall, I mean, it was a decently solid soundtrack. It was nothing that I would say is the greatest in the world, but it wasn't the worst by far. So yeah, definitely solid overall.
I think they probably also had a bigger budget for this one, so they could probably afford more found music than they could have in the others. So that might have been part of it too. But I thought it was pretty solid. I think the music, the original music by Christoph Beck was not quite as impressive to me as the original music from the last couple films. Especially the first movie, the background music was great. It was great. But I think, like, as far as the original songs, I think were more consistently good than in The Great Muppet Caper, but nothing was a banger quite on the level of Happiness Hotel. And the first movie too. I mean, Rainbow Connection is a classic.
Oh, Rainbow Connection had several bangers. I mean, yeah, that one, Moving Right Along.
I was going to say Moving Right Along would probably at least slightly edge any of the ones in this movie. But yeah, I did like the songs in this movie. Except for that. And again, it's not so much it was a terrible song. It's cringe to watch an old white dude rap. Even if it is Chris Cooper, it's not as cringe as some I've seen. I've seen some where I'm like, oh my God.
I'm sure even Chris Cooper looks back at that moment and is like, oh God, I hate that about me.
I think when he literally showed his ass for the Oscar-winning role in Adaptation, he probably was less embarrassed by that than he was by this. I could be wrong, though. I could be very wrong. But at any rate, which that, by the way, is a great moment. I thought that we'll have to do Adaptation one of these days, but that moment just, it cracked me up. It was so hilarious. But anyway, I guess that does anyone else have more comments on the movie before we go into favorites?
Not that I know.
Okay. Well then, let's say I should have thought of an extra question and I didn't think of one. That's disappointing. So we'll just go. What's up?
You could always do favorite Muppet song.
We could do that. Although I think we kind of just covered that pretty much. But let's say, we'll do, what's your favorite moment and or line and or scene, favorite character. We'll keep it simple tonight. So we'll start with you, Tammy. What were your favorites for this one?
Well, Animals are my favorite.
Okay.
I guess my second in this one would be Walter. My second favorite.
Okay.
Well, my very favorite scene of the whole thing is when they go to start the show, and it's the show, like you remember the show with all of them coming out and being in the archways like that, and the whole singing and them all coming out. That was the beginning of the Muppet Show.
Right.
To see that, it's just like really, to me, was really cool, because if you watch the show, that moment right there where they're all coming out at the beginning, just like the beginning how the Muppet Show would start,
Yeah.
That was one of my. I just really, really, really loved that part. Of course, the revisited whatever rendition of the Rainbow Connection with everybody joining in, that was great too.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they walk out of the theater and there's just a crowd, and they see how much everybody still loves them, that was cool.
Okay.
So.
All right. How about you, Dave? What are your favorites in this one?
Okay. When we first meet up with and see Jack Black and the fact that there are all these like crazy trigger words that everybody reacts to. That's a favorite moment for some reason when this pandemonium and they're trying to grab Animal.
Mm-hmm.
When I think when they start singing Nirvana on stage, that's a favorite moment. When Kermit sings pictures on the wall, and the Rainbow Connection part. Those are just a lot of my greatest moments. Favorite character. I have to think about this one.
Mm-hmm.
I think my favorite character has always been Kermit.
Okay.
Can't be Fozzie Bear because his jokes stink half the time. But I'll be honest. Him and Jack Black, if they went out on a comedy duo, I'd watch that.
Right.
And I have to give credit to the two that are always in the balcony again. Their jokes, if not being strong, they are always, if not hilarious, whenever they open their mouths.
Right. Yeah.
So, on that note, that's pretty much mine.
You know, Dave, you just while you were talking, the barbershop quartet part in particular, I had this thought that like a missed opportunity for this movie, and it's like I'm sure Brandon will agree with me on this, but like the best song, I would argue, the best original song of a handful of really, really good ones that Weird Al Yankovic has done was his barbershop quartet recording of Since You've Been Gone. And also, he famously spoofed Nirvana with the Off the Deep End cover and with the song Smells Like Nirvana. You know, he definitely.
You've been gone.
Yeah, exactly. So they missed an opportunity to have Weird Al in the movie, and he would have fit perfectly. And it was just like,
well, I feel like I stuck my hand inside a blender and turned it on.
Yeah.
You know, I've been in a buttload of pain
I
since
feel
you've been
almost
gone.
as bad as I did when you were still here. All right. So, Brandon, what were your favorites of this one?
Well, I mean, the Jack Black Fozzie duo probably got the loudest laugh from me. I mean, if there was anything that really stuck out to me as just like great that hasn't been mentioned, it's that ending doing the da-na-mana over and over with those people. I just thought that was a great way to end it for the credits. So I figured that since that wasn't mentioned yet, I would mention that.
Okay.
Agreed.
Yeah. Did you say your favorite character from the movie?
Really and truly, the only ones that had long-lasting appeal that were actually considered in the movie more than a bit would be the Amy Adams, Jason Segel, and well, I can't think of the other little Muppets. Walter. Everybody else was just a side character. But Gonzo is still my favorite because I like how he blew up his own plumbing.
You still have a bunch of side characters who had significant screen time. I mean, you did. Kermit, Tex Richman, even the network executive. And
though it was funny that Beauregard had just been kind of sleeping in the theater the whole time.
Yeah, where have you guys been? Yeah.
And wasn't Rolf just sleeping in the hammock?
Yeah.
That was the exciting story that he had.
Yeah,
that wasn't done in the montage, but right. Was done as an afterthought.
Right. All right. For me, I've already mentioned a few of them. This for me, the movie had a bunch of great little moments. Like I love the maniacal laugh. Like the idea of someone saying maniacal laugh because they can't laugh just cracks me up. I think that's pretty fun. I'm going to say in this movie, you're right. A lot of Brandon, you're right. A lot of characters got relatively little screen time, but some of them made the most of it. And I freaking I loved Animal in this movie. Almost every scene with Animal for me was one of my favorite scenes. The whole in control, acting natural.
You know that's not Animal. Animals.
Right. I just thought that was all pretty fun. And I will give credit where it's due. Fozzie did give us the traveling by map, which I did think that was hilarious. And I would say the barbershop quartet sequence, but specifically right at the beginning where they're all getting out their barber tools and Beaker pulls out the hatchet. I thought that was hilarious. So there were a few moments definitely scattered throughout that I loved. And then a couple of the more pathos, the Rainbow Connection sequence was excellent. That was a nice little bit of pathos there. Yeah. So I guess that does it.
Don't get me
What's that?
wrong. I do like Jack Black. I've liked a lot of stuff he's in and everything, but
Right.
I was more interested in the actual Muppets than what he did. So
Right. And we talk, because you can't not with a Muppet movie talk about the cameos, and essentially Jack Black has sort of an extended cameo in this movie. Him and Rashida Jones are like in that gray zone between cameo and supporting character, and there were a couple others, but there were a lot of fun cameos. But I feel like overall there were very few that were like, this is why you would watch the movie. You know what I mean? Like a couple of them were really fun, but but anyway, I guess, does anyone have any final thoughts, or are we ready to hand it back to you, Dave?
Mana.
Okay.
So, do we want to talk about next month before we?
That's a new month.
Yes, it is. Almost.
Well, so Dave actually picked the title of, let's see here, Feeling Foolish, Guilty Pleasure Month.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm still not convinced most of us picked something that fully fits that title, but
Well, I'm fully convinced because I do not normally choose a chick flick for things that I like.
Okay. Tammy is going to end us out with a nice little animated thing called Sing.
Okay.
Then Dave will hit us with Legally Blonde. Then Jake with Waiting. And then, of course, next week, Picking Up the Pieces, which is luckily on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Which actually I feel kind of iffy about most ways, because my sense of humor does tend to go very close to the film, and maybe it's a little bit too much of a shame to feel that kind of sense of humor for this time.
No, nowadays maybe not.
So that's going to be, so next week we'll be Picking Up the Pieces. It is a movie starring Woody Allen and other people.
David Schwimmer, Cheech Marin.
There's a lot of names in this one.
Yeah.
For something that a lot of people have not actually heard of.
Yeah, if you have to stand up in front of your entire school and tell them that you like this movie, and you might feel foolish for saying so.
Weird. But, Sharon Stone and is in it. Kiefer Sutherland.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Dick. That's something to be ashamed of. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Fran Drescher, another thing to be ashamed of. Elliot Gould, Eddie Griffin. Yeah, so there's a lot. Lou Diamond Phillips.
Yeah, I'd forgotten all of them were in that. Wow.
So, you know, for a film by a director I've never even heard of, Alfonso Arau, is an interesting cast.
Oh, really? Yeah, I know that name. I'm trying to remember why I know that name.
But in any case, hopefully you ladies and gentlemen have enjoyed our discussion on the Muppets. Oh wait, it's not the Muppets, but the Muppets from 2011. Have at it. If you enjoyed our discussion, if you enjoyed the movie, let us know down in the comments, and we'll definitely hope to see you back here with us as we continue to fool ourselves into thinking that we feel foolish about our next movie choices next month. In any case, that being said, everyone say Menomina.
Madame.
Phenomena.
Inside movies galore, just makes you just want more. We've had all in the world of media to explore. Horror, anime, or Curious George. Our love of new things was our reward. It is the best night of our week.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.